for our guest. Our guest is ready.
They
were on time, they're prompt, and they're ready to go. So let's get them on here. Let's welcome to Totally Jim Radio, Mr. Lee Jennings of the band The Funeral Portrait. What's going on there, Lee?
Yo, what's up, guys? How are you?
What's happening, man? So, I got to say, like, first off, I'm going to say right off the bat, like, I'm new to the whole funeral portrait thing. Although, as I was going through your songs, there was one song I did hear before that was C'est la vie or something like that.
Yeah, Casanova. C'est la
yes.
vie, yeah.
All right, so I did actually hear that song in passing before.
Sweet.
But so I'm going through and I'm trying to find like a nice bio from you guys to get some dirt on you, and the bio I find was like the best bio written ever. We are
well, cool.
from Atlanta, and we play loud music.
Yep, that is us. That's us. So,
you can't get any more straight to the point, my friend.
No, and that's kind of how our band is, especially now with the new record and everything. We just want to be just like a band, just be loud and obnoxious and be us.
Yeah, and I think rock and roll really needs some more loud and obnoxious people. I think it's like lacking anymore.
It's very true. You're so true on that. That is something that, especially in I should say the quote scene, that is totally lacking is being bands being more honest, bands being more real, and being true to themselves.
Do you think like bands now have to almost think anymore first before you do anything? Like in normal everyday life, like it's the smart thing to do. I always say think before you jump. Where in rock and roll, it was never supposed to be like that. It was supposed to be like jump first and then think.
Of course, and that's a huge thing, and that's something that like with us, like we want to be that band that is just. We're like I said, we're loud and obnoxious, and sometimes we might make a mistake on stage, or we might do something that's a little weird, and you're just like, whoa, and that's a lot of these, especially again in the quote scene, don't do. Like everyone kind of plays now. They play to a backtrack, and they all play to click tracks, and everything has to be perfect, and everything has to they have to have multiple layers on backup vocals and all this stuff, and with us, especially now, like I will say, we used to use all that stuff, but now when we play live, we don't use a backtrack, we don't even play to a click track anymore. We just get up there, we play some freaking songs. Sometimes they're fast, sometimes they're slow. 90% of the time, 99% of the time, they're very emotional and they're very real and honest.
No, I love that. That's the way it should be.
So, and that's the funeral portrait, and that's something that we definitely want to get out with our new stuff. Is we want to be what we call the anti-scene band. So we're still in the scene, we're still in the underground music scene, but we're trying to be different. We're trying to just be us and be honest. There's so many bands nowadays that are kind of put into place from the studio. They go to some big producer and they go and record, songs that they don't even write. And that's
right.
Something that we're kind of against. We just want to be us, and we write all of our own music. We're out there, we're loud, we're outspoken, we're just being five dudes who just like playing music,
See, now that's awesome. And I can tell just by talking to you for 2 minutes, like, you're very sincere, you're very honest, you're very from the heart, and you're very straightforward.
Yes, and that's us, though, and that's something that, a lot of bands, they try and fake out their fans, and they try and do all this stuff, where they and it's nothing bad on the scene. Some of my best friends play in bands that, that have to use backing tracks and stuff like that to pull off what they do, and that's who they are, and that's fine. And sometimes that's being honest and true to you, but with us, we're being honest and true to ourselves, which is not using that stuff,
That's cool.
And that's that's something also that we want to get across is, just be you, just be yourself. And if that's, using all the backing tracks and using all that fun stuff, then that's awesome. Do it to the fullest. But then at the same time, if it's not, then don't. Be you. And that's something that a lot of rock and roll, quote rock and roll nowadays is not. And it's kind of sad, that we're kind of losing the essence of rock and roll.
I agree. It kills me.
Yeah. It's and it's definitely a different time for the scene music because it's a little lost at times because it used to be, you'd have your heavy hitters and now the heavy hitters aren't selling as well and aren't doing as well, but they're still out there touring and they're still out there killing it every night, and it's great to see that. And that's another thing too is like even though our scene is slowly or isn't slowly dying, it's just becoming even more underground because it's the numbers are dwindling every once in a while. It's pretty cool to see though that bands are still out there killing it live every night.
You know what? I think there's more bands out there now killing it, period, than ever before.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think I agree. I think it's becoming also less of a taboo. If you know what I mean, it's becoming less. It's becoming less weird to be in a touring rock band, and it's easier to access, and which is awesome. I love that. I love that about our scene that, that it's pretty easy to just get out there, just use Facebook and network yourself and book a few shows out and about and just do it. And that's another thing. Right. Just get out there and do it. And that's pretty sweet. That's a pretty cool thing.
And that's something I really wanted to talk to you about too. It's like you guys have been together for what, just over 2 years. So I mean, you guys have moved pretty quick. And I was wondering, like, what was like do you think was the big thing that really helped get you guys really moving and going? Do you think it was the social media?
So it kind of was. Social media is one thing, but honestly, we're not even a huge social media band. There's definitely more bands out there that. And we take advantage of social media and we use it every day, but there's some bands that just really thrive on social media, that has thousands and thousands of views, but at the same time, those thousands of views don't come to their live numbers where they'll go play a show and there'll still only be 10 kids. With us, we take the aspect of we'd rather play a show and rather be on tour than sitting at home spending time on social media because we're fans of word of mouth. We're fans of putting on a killer show and going out there and meeting, even if it's 10 kids that come out, which I will say 90% of our like headliner tours, it's there are 25, 30 kids at those shows, but those 30, 40, 30, 35 kids that are at those shows go home and they tell their friends. And the next time that we stroll through, say, Buffalo, New York, those 30 kids evolved into bringing at least 10 more of their friends. So now there's 40 kids there. And that's kind of a big way that we kind of built things up is by touring a lot, but also because I think that by the end of this year, we will have done 14 tours in 2 years. So that's pretty much constant touring. So
yeah,
that's definitely the big one.
That's what I was going to say. Like, if it hasn't been the social media, has it been just nonstop touring for you guys?
Yep. And that's such a big thing. And like social media is a massive thing. And like it's very important to use social media. Like tonight even we did right before calling, we did like a YouNow, which is, that website where you can just stream live. And that's something that was our first time doing it, and it worked really well, and it was pretty cool. And that's something that we're going to try more of, is so that way we can even connect to fans even more when we can't hit California all the time because we're all the way over here in Georgia. So social media is still very important, but back in the day before MySpace, because MySpace is the thing that kind of created the music scene that it is today, bands just toured all the time. Of course you had websites that people use to check you out on and stuff. But mainly it was word of mouth that got bands famous or got bands big. You know, this guy in the industry saw this band live, and he told his friends, and then he told his friends, and he told his friends, and you know, they got selected for these massive tours, and that's kind of what we want to bring back. You know, everything that we do is very DIY mindset. I even self-manage the band. There's like we're on a killer label, and they help a lot, but besides that, like I do all the self-managing. We have a smaller booking agent that he kills with that stuff and keeps us out on the road. But I'm a huge fan of word of mouth, and as long as you put on a killer show every night, there's going to be kids coming out and hanging out with you.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned something too that I wanted to bring up too that I saw. I saw that you also double as the band manager. How is that pulling a double duty doing that?
It's kind of crazy. It gets kind of crazy because the point where we are, touring definitely so much, I've kind of hit a cap, I will say, where I can manage the band, but I can't. And I'm being completely honest, you know, and I'm giving my secrets away, but I've hit it kind of like a cap of where my quote unquote connections have ended. Mm-hmm. So like getting us on Warped Tour, I have no connections in that, you know, all that is, right, like I said, word of mouth and the help of our amazing label Revival. If all of us can work together and make it happen. So, you know, we're to some of these other bands that have bigger managers in the scene, or in the industry, shall I say, you know, and they can just make favor calls, you know, hey, take this band on tour and I'll give you this band, you know, and stuff like that. And with us, I can't do that. I literally, I manage us, and then I manage two other bands, which are just smaller local bands. And with that, like there's only so much that I can do. And that's also, you know, that's part of being a DIY band, and that only helps me also advance myself and try and work even harder is to advance our band.
Now, is this something like, you know, years down the road, you know, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, is this something you'd want to do after you get maybe done on the stage, is going behind the scene and being a band manager?
Oh, of course. And that's something that kind of I'm setting up, I guess, now is I also, myself, I have a recording studio here in Atlanta that I record pretty much just local bands. I do like $100 a song. It's very simple. It's very easy setup. They come in one day. They pretty much finish the song in a day. You know, everything's pretty much streamlined on that end. So I even have that. I have the management side, you know, and all that kind of stuff I love. So in the end, if the band even, say, you know, doesn't make it, quote, quote, if you have a form of making it. But, you know, I do have that side, and I love that side. But, you know, I personally believe that that I believe in our newest record, and I believe in my band, and I believe in our live show and myself enough, you know, to where I think we could make it. I think we could, at least for, you know, it's going to take us a little while because we're more of a DIY band. We're more of a get out there, go-getter kind of guys. So, you know, it's going to be a lot of grinding before we see the fruits of our labor, but it's getting there for us. So we're excited with that, and I'm excited with managing bands and stuff like that. So it's cool.
That's awesome. So, I mean, you like every person I know, myself included, that would try to do music or is doing music, their parents always said to them, you need to have a backup plan. So your backup plan is music.
Yep. And that's something, too, is like I've never really had one. And my family's been super supportive of me. I've luckily had amazing grandparents and a mom who supported me. I will say even financially, not so much anymore, because I'm older now, but when I first started, they definitely helped me live more, but now I've been able to to do it all myself. But luckily they've been super supportive, and they never told me that I couldn't do music. You know, they never told me, hey, you know, we're not going to take you to voice lessons, or, hey, do you need more voice lessons? That's more them. You know, I did musical theater all through high school. You know, I did all of that growing up, and that even led me into the band realm. You know, that led me to do all this.
That's awesome. So, all right, so like,
which
the new album comes, but it's not coming out till what, December?
Yeah, it's not coming out till December 16th. Yep.
We got a little ways to go, but the first single is out.
Yes, the first single is out, and it's called The Water Obeyed the Gravity, and that single is out right now. Came out, like 2 weeks ago probably, I think, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, so...
Cool. And also there's a video out for it, and that's something you guys really, like I was watching today, I was going through, I mean, you guys, which I love. I can't praise enough a band, especially, you know, a do-it-yourself band that's doing videos. I mean, hats off.
Yeah, and that's something, too, is like with that video, it is definitely more of a DIY video as well. Being on Revival, which is our label, and they're awesome, and they definitely help us out with stuff like videos and stuff like that. But we got to pick our director. We got to pick to do more of a. Our decision was we could either have one kind of high budgeted video or have multiple. Not because they're still high budgeted, but we could go with a smaller name, I guess, in the video industry. And we went with just like a friend that lives here in Georgia, and we're shooting another video for this song called Like Father Like Son, which is, I guess personally, probably our favorite song in the band. It's that's our true single. The first song was kind of more of an introductory. That's why in the video itself, we went with a very straight performance video. It has like that spiral that's on us the whole entire time, that's projected on us, which you can find is also a big part of the record in the fact of the feeling of being thrown into a spiral, and it's on the album cover as well, the blue and black spiral. So.
Yeah, you know, and I think I saw too, like, I guess you guys put up on social media that you guys have your own emoji, the spiral.
Yes, which is pretty sweet. That was kind of funny because we just saw it one day and we just picked it out. So now every time that we kind of like post stuff, you know, we can just use the little spiral, and it's kind of funny. It kind of plays onto the spookiness, shall I say, the eeriness of our record. So,
which now here's a question. I saw Alternative Press did a quick story on you guys for the new album, and they called you guys, and I never even heard of this. I don't know if it's showing my age or whatever it is, but Theatericore?
Oh, yes. So technically, I guess it's been Theatericore, it's been Theatricore, it's been a bunch of different ways. And with that, you know, I will admit that our first EP, which was 2 years ago, which might not seem like long ago, but for us, that seems like it was like 6 years ago or like something like that. But our first EP was technically it was very theatrical because we used like a lot of strings. We used a lot of like piano, and it was very driven with that. So we did use like a lot live. We'd use like a lot of backtracks and stuff like that. And I will still say that we are theatrical because live we put on a crazy show. And my whole life I grew up in the theater, so it comes out a lot live. I kind of take on this persona. I get to kind of play a character every night, and I bring out the character, and it becomes theatrical-esque.
Gotcha. Okay. I never heard the term used before. I was like, wait.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird. It kind of goes for like there's other bands like Get Scared. I guess even like Alisana, the band the owner of the label that we're on, that's his band Alisana and stuff like that, and it kind of has that same thing. But now our newest record, we kind of dumped all that stuff. We wanted to be a real rock band. We just wanted to be who we really are. So we do use like a lot of synth, but everything that we use was actually tracked in the studio. So like we used a real Moog synthesizer. We used a real piano. You know, we used everything real. Everything that was done on this record is real, you know, and that's something that we really wanted to get across, is that we're not the same band anymore. And I know that's kind of weird for a band that's just been around for 2 years to say that, but with us, I think we're always going to be evolving and changing, because a listener's ear always changes, because I know mine does. You know,
Sure.
Of course I go back to records that I love and that throw me to a certain time. But with us, you know, there's very few bands that can get away with making the same record over and over and over again. And with us, we evolve and we mature and we change and we grow older, and so do our taste, and so do our what we want to create. And this record, you know, we spent like a year and a half writing this dang thing. Honestly, we probably spent 2 years since the EP was released that December. So December of 2014, we started writing this record, and it evolved and changed, and finally we got to record it. And now we just like to be. We're just a rock and roll band, you know. As I don't want to say as corny as that is, but you know, we're just a band, you know, that just plays music.
So now you guys are actually getting ready to hit the road next week.
Yes, we leave on Tuesday. Yes. Yes, again. Which is awesome, you know, and that would be our 13th tour, I think, which is cool, and we're really excited to hit the road again. And especially, we get to go out with two bands, or a solo act and a band that we've never toured with before, because we have the tendency to go out with our friends a lot. Like we toured with Alisana a few times, Forever at Last, Vanity Strikes. Like, so, you know, our good friends, we like to tour with them, so we get to tour with them a lot. So
Sure.
Now we get to tour with two brand new bands and play in front of now their fans, you know. So we're really excited about that.
Now, and I'm looking through the dates, and I'm not seeing Philly, but I'm seeing Emmaus, PA.
Yes. I don't think there's Philly. I think there's Pittsburgh, maybe.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. Actually,
well.
Emmaus is closer than what's it name? Yeah, closer than Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Emmaus is probably like 2 hours from Philly, hour and a half.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. No. We actually play. We did play Pennsylvania a lot. Like earlier before this year, like I think 2015, we probably almost every tour we would come through Pennsylvania all the time. So this tour I think is our probably second time hitting anywhere in Pennsylvania in 2016. So we're excited to be coming back that way. And we tour, it's so funny because we do play the city. We play like New York City all the time. We'll play upstate New York. You know, we'll play Cleveland, Ohio and stuff, and we'll just skip right over Pennsylvania. So.
See, now that's great. You got to stop skipping PA.
I know. Trust me, it's over now. So luckily we have a new booking agent that's killing it for us. So and he can handle more than what I used to when I was doing self booking. So because I used to self book, then you know, and manage and do all this. So now it's taken the weight off my shoulders a little bit. So
now when you're like wearing all those hats to a band, does it cause more fights within a band?
You know, of course, every band fights. And that's something that I will say, especially to the listeners right now, if you do not think that a band doesn't fight, then, you know, every band fights. But with us, I don't think so, because it's kind of a weird thing. We have very delegated positions in our band. When we started, because we've known each other for 5 years. Some of the guys in the band have known each other for even longer than that. But we've been playing together, I think, for four years, even though it's only been 2 years as the Funeral Portrait. Before this, we used to be called Cosmoscope, and it was like a pop rock band. It wasn't even the same sound at all, like close to it. And so we've been playing together for 4 years, so we all kind of get it. Everyone gets it. Everyone knows the decisions that need to be made. But the hats that I wear are very they're the business hats, they're the business boy hats,
Right.
and that's just where I strive. That's where I've grown up in the music scene, and I've grown up meeting people my whole life. Now is my time to use those connections, shall I say, and they all agree, and they all understand, So, but when it comes down to like very serious questions about like album artwork and record name and like, should we do this tour or not? Of course I always send out texts. I always call everybody. We always meet. We always, we're together 90% of the year because we're in a van together 90% of the time. So,
Right.
So a lot of the decisions that I make come from all of us, because I take it as there's no band or there's no I in band. Jeez, there's no band in band. Jeez, there's no I in band, and that's something that I think has kept us from fighting and has kept us with all original 5 members for 13 tours, which a lot of bands nowadays in this scene can't say they do that, and that's something that we're really proud of, is that we're the same original 5 guys that started this band, and we're the same guys that hopefully will finish this band,
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
So, which is great, and that's we're each other's best friends, and we see each other all the time. We sleep next to each other in the van. We hear each other snore, whatever, it's pretty glamorous life, but it's a fun one.
Cool. So, all right. So, let's get this out there. Where can everybody find you and find the guys and get the tour dates and the new music and the single and everything else?
Sweet. The easiest is probably just Facebook. It's just facebook.com/The-Funeral-Portrait. It's very simple. Of course, we are on YouTube. Our label is called Revival Recordings. There's some really awesome bands on there. We do have a new record that is coming out. It's called A Moment of Silence, and the first single is up on YouTube, and it's called The Water Obeyed the Gravity. We have a new single that'll be out in November, and then the record comes out December 16th, which you can pre-order, and which also is a big deal about pre-ordering, because first week sales are very important in this industry. So every little bit counts.
Now, with the next single coming out next month, is there going to be another video with that one as well?
Yes, we are actually shooting that on Saturday, so in a few days. So we're going for kind of more story-based a little bit. It won't be too crazy on the story, but, we still want a little bit of a story since the first song didn't have one. But, yeah, that's kind of like what we're going for. Is we're going to try and release a video for a few more songs as well, because we're big fans of visual art. Like live, we try and put on a great visual show for everyone. So we'd love for it to bring back to social media and to YouTube and stuff like that. So there will be this song will definitely have a video for, and we're very excited for it. So
awesome. Cool. Well, you know what? I got the first single queued up, The Water Obeyed the Gravity. So let's play that for everybody.
awesome.
And Lee, thanks. Good luck out there on the road. Have some fun. Get the music out there. And hope to see you guys in Philly sometime.
Awesome, definitely, man. It would be great to meet in person. So, and thanks
Absolutely.
everyone.
Cool. All right, man. Well, take care, and we're going to play this right now for everybody. So here it is, everybody, The Funeral Portrait off their upcoming album.